Hey, how's it going? This is Ed with the Learn It Now Network, and today we're going to talk about what to do when your child is failing. We have a lot more videos here on the Learn It Now Network. I hope you guys enjoy what I provided here for you. Please like and subscribe, and ring the bell icon for notifications so you can see when we release a new video. Thanks again for checking us out. Hey, this is Ed from the Learn It Now Network, and today we're going to talk about what you can do when your child is failing. Now, as a tutor, of course, you could hire a tutor. But there's some things that I see whenever I interact with parents with kids that are failing. One of the things that's really concerning is that when I talk with a parent, sometimes right in front of the child, they will, attack the child's credibility or their motivation, things like that. And, those are legitimate concerns. And I think that those should be addressed. But to do it in front of your child will actually destroy their trust in you, and they're going to be less open with you, and that's going to make it harder to find out other things about them. They may stop telling you how they do on tests, period. They may start to try to hide information, right? They have more to lose than to gain, right? If they do well, you might say, oh, well, nice job, but if they do badly, they're going to be publicly embarrassed and shamed and all this other kind of thing, and I really would recommend against that particular line of approach. Now, it's not always wrong. I'm not going to say that either, right? Sometimes you have to let the child know that it's serious, and this could be a serious matter. But I would take, a lot of times when with parents the first time, and with the child as well, sometimes there's a certain amount of venting going on, and I completely understand that from the parent's perspective. But, try to be a little bit more strategic about the way that you use such a powerful tool, such as, confronting your child about their performance in front of somebody else. So let's move on. One of the other things that we could talk about is, when the child is failing, one thing you want to do is you could use certain actions to help performance, right? Now, some parents try to use bribery. Oh, if you do well on this test, I'll buy you all these things. Or they might use punishments. If you don't do well on this test, then you will be not allowed to go outside your room, and we're going to force you to study. That's using study as a punishment. Ooh, that's a very dangerous path to go down. You're making the possible joys of studying and turning it into a punishment, and putting all kinds of negative associations between studying and learning things, and using that as negative reinforcement. That's very dangerous. I really do not recommend that. So let's talk about some things that we can do. Okay, one of the things that I think is most important for parents to do is to achieve a level of buy-in from their children. So the thing is that, you want to convince them that not only is what they're learning worthy of being learned, or there's reasons to learn it. Also, you want them to believe in yourself as an authority figure. A lot of times students are getting a lot of mixed messages from other sources. You could actually see that there's plenty of articles out there about Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg, questioning the value of higher education. And, they make some, even Warren Buffett said that, his high-priced education, he learned just as much at a cheaper school. So what's this drive to get into the very top schools? When you're saying it as this is something we should do versus, people who are famous and extremely successful, maybe even in your children's eyes more successful than yourself, who are they going to listen to? Well, also if it's convenient for them to not study as hard, well, it's just this horrible mixture, and you need to bring them back online. So one of the things is that, remember when your children were little and they looked up to you and, they thought you were a superhero and all this other kind of thing? You need to kind of bring that back. And a lot of parents, I feel, they're fighting the good fight every day. They're going to work, they're trying to make things, trying to provide a stable environment for the children. But they don't really do a good enough job of really, showing their children exactly what they do. So the thing is that they'll say, they may even say, look, I go to work every day, I struggle, and I do all this thing. But for your children, they can't really, that's all they hear, and they don't really see anything. It's not really enough for them to really comprehend what's going on. A lot of children don't know how much their family's rent is, if they're paying rent, or their mortgage payments, if they are, what exactly, I pay for this home, and then it's just left open like that, with no specifics. How is your child supposed to understand the difference between, paying that mortgage and anybody else who pays a mortgage or any of the other friends. It just seems like a normal, like anybody can do it. Everybody's living somewhere, right? So when you're being vague about it, it doesn't really help them to get a solid grasp on what the difference is between maybe one lifestyle and another. You know, if they don't get it, then you have to question it and find out. You can't just follow what everybody else is doing. You know, why should I go to? I'm sure you told your kids many times. You know, you think it's okay if everybody else does it, for you to do it? That doesn't make any sense. Are you doing the same thing? You know, well, then understandably your child is not going to really have a necessarily the response that you're looking for. So really think about what you're saying. It's definitely something I think could increase their value. One thing that I think is that as kids progress, as they get older, they're learning new skills and they have an opportunity to learn new responsibilities. A lot of parents, especially Asian parents, like to just take their kid and lock them in a room all day and say, you know, just study all day. And if you get a 9, just study longer and you'll get 100. Just keep studying longer, longer, longer. It doesn't have to be like that. You can work smarter, not harder. And the thing is that study should be supplemental to and being show a pathway for one to fulfill their own interests, dreams, and ambitions, not to be, you know, getting in the way of those things. So if your child can get like a decent score in class and then he can maybe engage in building some things or some type of like engineering projects or something like that where he's actually getting to, or she's getting to actually use their skills that they've learned in school in a useful way, then they might pay a little bit more attention to their studies. That makes a lot of sense. But if they're required to learn all kinds of like random facts and knowledge that they don't see themselves using in the future, I mean, what reasonable person wouldn't question, you know, the value of that education? You know, especially like I said before with other luminaries saying, you know, that the value of a higher education is actually decreasing and the costs are going up. So there's some really good questions out there, and you're there as a parent to help guide them and to help them understand. And are you really doing that? You know, and it's not an easy thing. I totally get that, but we're here to help. You could read other comments below in the comment section, or maybe, you know, I'm sure there's other videos out there besides mine that are helping to address this issue. Even Elon Musk himself wrote a whole article in CNBC where he was, there was an article about him that talked about the one great failing of the American education system is they don't tell us why we learn the information that we learn. Who wants to learn a whole bunch of random information? What happens if I start spewing off some random chemistry facts to you right now? Are you going to really memorize that? You might say, I'm not going to use it. No. And that's reasonable, right? Why are you expecting your children to do the same thing? Right? Don't ask your children to do anything that you particularly wouldn't do. Don't ask your employees, don't ask your friends to do something that you wouldn't do yourself. Right? It just doesn't make sense. So yeah, there's that. Now, failure doesn't have to just happen in the classroom. Failure could happen on a job. When kids have their first job, a lot of times they're working minimum wage jobs that have no real particular future, right? If they're flipping burgers all day, is that really something to get excited about? In fact, if that's something that they're really motivated to do, and if they hold that job for more than a couple months of flipping burgers, I mean, honestly, that's kind of maybe even a little worrisome in itself, right? Do you want to flip burgers all day for the rest of your life? I mean, I hope not, you know? So try to help your child see like a path towards management. Help them to really say, oh, you know what? What do you think is the most profitable part of the business? You know, you're selling fries, you're selling burgers. What do you think is more profitable for the restaurant? Why do they have certain policies here? Talk about things with them and help them to understand the world in a new way. That's what an education is really supposed to do. And actually I have another video that talks about the value of an education, right? Your children may not be convinced of the value of education since nobody tells them. So I have that outlined in another video. So look, failing is something that gives us an opportunity to build Okay, one thing that I'd just to finish off on is that, failure doesn't have to be just that. Failure can teach us things about perseverance, about sticking with, staying committed in ways that winning doesn't. It also teaches about empathy, a lot of valuable qualities that we only learn through failure. So make the best out of a bad situation and, teach your kids resilience. And I hope you two are, willing to help your child dig out of a difficult situation. And thanks for checking us out. Please like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to get notified when we upload a new video. Thanks for checking us out.